Hey guys, it's 1 Minute Reviews, and with Halloween right around the corner, I figured now would be the best time ever to release a top 10 video. Normally I only do the 1 minute reviews, but I really wanted to break the mold as this is my favorite genre of game and my favorite time of year, and I'm super excited to talk about it. If you enjoy the video, drop a like and subscribe, and if you have any other top 10s that you want me to do, let me know down in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for anyone who watches the video for a scary game this Halloween season, let us know in the comments as well. With that out of the way, here are my top 10 picks for the horror games on the Nintendo Switch. Mind you, this is not in any particular order. Let's go. At number 1, we got Colony Trilogy. Now these games are bad, and that's just part of the charm. You play as a swanky, sexy lady trying to survive a zombie-infested area, solving puzzles and avoiding the undead. There are a few surprises here and there, especially when it comes to enemy type, and the puzzles are actually pretty decent if you're into that sort of thing. The games are only a couple hours long each, so they won't wear out their welcome, and they'll surely give you that early 2000s Newgrounds.com vibe when you play them. Now I know they don't look like much, but trust me, there's something different. I got my physicals over at PlayAsia.com, and I highly suggest that you add this quirky collection to your library. At number 2, we got the Resident Evil 1 Remake. Now this game was originally released on the GameCube and ported over to the Nintendo Switch, and honestly it's been ported to every system by this point, but that doesn't take away from how great the game is. With the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes out, I am kind of hoping that they remake the first one in the same style, but as it is, the Resident Evil 1 Remake is one of the best games for survival horror. I absolutely love the Resident Evil series, I love them all except for maybe 6, and the offerings here on the Switch are great. I know most people are going to pick 4 as their favorite, which is totally fair, but honestly, if you want a tense, scary vibe, I think Resident Evil 1 Remake is where it's at. You can get this as part of the Origins collection or on its own on the eShop, and you have a couple ways to play through it as either Chris or Jill, and each playthrough offers a different take on the same story, which is pretty awesome. After you get through 1, if you want a real challenge, pick up 0. It's not as polished as the 1 remake, and there are some frustrating mechanics, but knowing the story that leads to the STARS team encounter with the Spencer Mansion makes it all the more fun. Either way, I highly recommend starting with RE1, and trust me when I say nothing is scarier than when you hear the moan and groan of a Crimson Head waking up and knowing that you only have 8 rounds in your handgun and that may not be enough. It's absolutely terrifying. At number 3, we're coming in with Tormented Souls. Tormented Souls is an anomaly to me. It's an okay game that is honestly not the best, but what it does well makes up for all the shortcomings. The game was made as an homage to the old survival horror games of the late 90s, and it does that really well. Unfortunately, that also means down to the jank. The visuals are decent and the cutscenes will make you laugh, a la, you were almost a Jill sandwich. But to me, that's what makes the game shine. And honestly, the puzzles and atmosphere are all top notch. The puzzles are so well done and let you use the control stick as a cursor to complete the puzzles rather than constraining you to the D-pad style inputs. It really lets you explore the puzzle space to figure it out, something you learned very quickly just to leave the first room of the game. The enemies are fine and the challenge is right up there with any first time playthrough of any survival horror. I would recommend giving it a try. Coming in at number 4, we have Fatal Frame Maiden of the Blackwater or Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Now, if you've never played a Fatal Frame game, I highly recommend trying one this spooky season. You have 2 options, like I said, Maiden of the Blackwater and Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. I released a 1-minute video review on each, and honestly, both are fine. I think technically Maiden of the Blackwater is the better game owing to it being 8 years older than Mask of the Lunar Eclipse and having evolved from the early days of Fatal Frame gameplay, but both are a solid choice. I got mine physically from PlayAsia and I highly recommend giving them a try. Just have an extra pair of shorts nearby. These games are gonna scare you. Coming in at number 5 is Amnesia. Now, Amnesia is a series that I have a love-hate relationship with. I hate and despise hide-and-seek horror games. You know, the kind where you can never fight back, your job is to hide and pray that the big bad doesn't find you. I find them boring and stupidly unrealistic. Think like Outlast or something like that. Let me pick up a metal pipe off the ground or even a kitchen knife, and let me at least try to defend myself. Naturally, I shouldn't like Amnesia, as I don't like that style of game, but Amnesia is like the premier hide-and-seek puzzle simulator, and they do it so well. These games are charming in their aesthetic and atmosphere, and I can't help but love them. The games usually revolve around your character being locked up or stuck in some location and needing to do various puzzles to find their way out or to answer some mystery. It's a fun system, and in some games, the physics-based puzzles are the icing on the cake. There's an Amnesia Collection that's available on the eShop, and I highly recommend picking it up, as it's only about 30 bucks and you get 3 different games, and each one is pretty cool in its own way. Now, speaking of hide-and-seek simulators, coming in at number 6 is Alien Isolation. If I had to say that there was one in the genre of hide-and-seek simulators that I absolutely love and adore, this is it. Technically, you cannot kill the alien with your tools, but you don't feel as helpless as you do with something like an Amnesia or Outlast. A quick spurt from your flamethrower will scare it off a few times, but it eventually will learn from your moves and adapt, and that's what makes the game so fascinating. I have a physical copy pre-order from Limited Run Games, but since it's in pre-production and that takes forever, who knows when I'll actually get it, but at least I know it's on the way. It is currently available on the eShop, and if you haven't played this game and either you love hide-and-seek sims or you just love the Aliens universe, you cannot go wrong with this one. You play as Ripley's daughter between Alien 1 and Aliens, and it's pretty cool continuity between the films. And even better, it's canon, so it doesn't feel like a wasted story, which makes your time on the Sevastopol and the Torrens so much more impactful. Alright, number 7, we have something a little bit more lighthearted. We're coming in with Luigi's Mansion 3. Now, if you're a parent and you need a kid-friendly spooktacular time, Luigi's Mansion is the GOAT on the Switch. It's quirky, charming, and just the right bit of child-friendly spooky to get most kids excited. You use a magical vacuum to suck the ghosts up and trap them, along with various other tools at Luigi's disposal. My only complaint with the game, honestly, is that this is Luigi's third foray into a haunted mansion. I'd expect him to be a little bit more stoic and not afraid by now, but I guess that's what makes the game so charming. If you or your kids love Mario games, Ghostbusters, or just want a cute ghost-catching game for the holiday, Luigi's Mansion has got you covered. Coming in at number 8, we have something truly different. We have Darkwood. It's a top-down, twin-stick horror shooter. Say that 10 times fast, I had to take a couple takes to get that right. You play as the stranger, and you're trying to escape the Darkwood. You come across other characters who may aid or hinder this quest, and there's a cool day-night system wherein during the day you're trying to explore, and at night you're just trying to protect yourself from all the horrors in the trees. There's plenty of NPCs to interact with that fleshes out the story, which mind you has branching paths, which is pretty cool. There's a crafting system and more. The game is honestly pretty fantastic for how simple it looks. One of my favorite things about the game is playing at higher difficulties because you have a permadeath option, and that really adds to the tension when the night phase comes and you're trying to survive. Darkwood is one that I don't often see talked about by many people on the Switch, but I highly recommend it if the gameplay looks fun to you. Now, coming in at number 9, we have one of my biggest surprises on the Switch, Evil Tonight. As stated earlier, the Resident Evil games are basically my favorite games. So when I had a friend suggest to me Evil Tonight, I looked at it and honestly, I wasn't that impressed. It's 2D retro, and I am not a fan of retro. It's just so overused in my opinion, but wow, was I wrong. Evil Tonight was so worth it. The game bolsters a very familiar gameplay style to Resident Evil, and it even has its own fair amount of jump scares that admittedly got me really good. It has a good decent amount of puzzles, and it always has that ever-growing issue of just barely enough ammo to get by. Honestly, this game is fantastic, and if this list were in order, it would be near the top. And finally, coming in at number 10, we have Limbo. Limbo is not a very long game, it's only going to take you a few hours, but the visuals are so worth the asking price. The developers did a great job at simplistic means impactful. You play a little boy who wakes up on the edge of hell, or Limbo, and he's trying to find his sister. Evil spiders ensue, and through many deaths and trial and error, you eventually find a way to get to your objective. It's a wonderful experience if anything, and I would highly recommend it. Alright, there you go, 10 games on the Switch that I would recommend for this spooky season. I tried to pick games that are on everyone else's list, but I also try to stay true to the games that I really enjoy. If you have any suggestions or would change anything on the list, drop it in the comments down below. If you want another top 10, let me know what you want me to talk about next time. I actually really enjoyed recording this video and I would love to do another one. Just give me some ideas of what you guys want to see. And with that, thank you guys for hanging out. This has been 1 Minute Reviews. I'll catch you next time.